More people were killed during politically motivated violence in KwaZulu-Natal between 1985 and 1994 than in the rest of the country between 1961 and 1994. The number of people killed during this period is estimated at between 18,000 and 20,000. Despite the fact that the Inkatha Freedom Party, at the time the majority political party in the province, discouraged its supporters to cooperate with the Truth Commission, about half of all human rights abuses reported to the Truth Commission came from this province. The Truth Commission found that although the South African police was a major perpetrator of human rights violations throughout the period under review by the Commission, far more people were killed by the Inkatha Freedom Party and the United Democratic Front and African National Congress. The conflict in the region flared up during 1983 after the formation of the United Democratic Front, an internal sister organization to the African National Congress, which was only unbanned in 1990. The UDF and ANC were opposed to the Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi and his party, first called Inkatha and later the Inkatha Freedom Party, because the chief was prepared to work within the homeland system of the National Party government. This system meant that black citizens were only given political rights inside prescribed areas reserved for black people according to their ethnicity.
Conflict between the ANC and our organization is rooted in different responses to the problem of apartheid. Those responses began more than 3 decades ago, and there has, in our view, been little substantive change in the strategies adopted by the two organizations to bring about fundamental transformation in our country. KwaZulu and the IFP in particular have been the targets of ANC destabilization policies since the failed 1979 conference to persuade the then Inkatha Cultural Liberation Movement to become a surrogate of the ANC. The different strategies to overcome apartheid proved irreconcilable, and at that conference and from then onwards, Inkatha was singled out as an enemy because it refused to crook the knee to the ANC or accept its strategy of armed struggle and the destruction of the South African economy.
Izingane zike zabaleka zadlula kumina ngihleli lapho mina zasho zangithibezela zasho zike zabaleka zayongena endlini izingane hawu ngathi ngevenge iyakhala ngiyakwamzidla ingane yakhala ingane ithi iyaphuma ngewindi ingane ishayeke phansi ithi iyaphuma ngewindi ingane ishayeke phansi kwavele nanomkhondo wami wangathi ngiyaphupha ngilele ngathi ngithi ngiyabona ngabona uthunyisisi.
The UDF and ANC, as well as many violence monitors in the region, always maintained that the apartheid government, using the police and army, was helping the IFP in their attacks on the UDF and ANC. There were also allegations of a shadowy third force consisting of apartheid security force members who fomented conflict between the two groups. The government and the IFP denied these allegations.
Despite the persistent propaganda to the contrary, no third force ever existed. This is the stark reality which this commission will have to face up to.
There was no need of people killing each other this way. But because of the infiltration of the military intelligence and the security bench within the IFP, that is why the violence in Natal was so high.
Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, journalists documented several cases which proved that there was collusion between the SAP and SADF and Inkatha, like these visuals of a police Casper vehicle transporting Inkatha impis. The Truth Commission, after hearing testimony regarding several incidents, found that the allegations were essentially true. The Truth Commission also found that IFP leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi conspired with the apartheid government to create a paramilitary force trained in the Caprivi in Namibia with the purpose of attacking UDF and ANC supporters. the IFP maintained the Caprivi group was formed in self-defense.
On 3rd February 86, Operation Marian, which involved the training of a paramilitary unit for the protection of VIPs in KwaZulu, was approved by the State Security Council. Any suggestions therefore, that the training of the KwaZulu units had anything to do with the establishment of a third force, which was at that stage still under consideration, constitutes a blatant disregard for the facts.
The training was not police training. It was a military training. Because if it was not a military training, there was no need for a political commissar in the police force, a commander in the police force. There was no need. Even the weapons which they were using there, it was purely military weapons. For instance, the mortar. Where can we use a mortar? RPGs, light machine guns, AK-47, hand grenades, land mines, anti-personnel mines, explosive, different TNT, plastic explosives. So I'm mentioning now weapons of war.
We hit the door, there was a hole in the door, and we used it to hack the door. The door opened, and we shot at the people, and we also stabbed them with the spears and the bows. One of them died instantly next to the rendezvous. That was a person who had these multiple stab wounds because he was stabbed by most of the people. When passing Matafin on our way back, we passed the first homestead. We found women. We didn't do anything to them. However, on the second family, we found women. We injured those women. We're not killing women, we're killing young men. I intended to kill these ANC young men, members, because those were people who were attacking us.
You have got 200 people sent for paramilitary training. And you have, if you look at the Umkhonto Sizwe certified personnel register of members who are eligible to be integrated into the National Defence Force, 18, 19, maybe even 20,000 members of MK. You put these two things in the balance, and you must admit that this is a drop in the ocean. You've got 200 people up against, and I think that is something which emerged from the Lombo hearings. You've got MK units operating in this province, armed with sophisticated weapons, who've received comprehensive military training. If the KwaZulu government decided to train people to protect community leaders, traditional leaders, government installations, I think that is hardly a concept which is difficult to understand.
There wasn't a situation in which two members of the ANC in KwaMashu, one member of the ANC, one member of Ingat, one stands up and says, I, member of the IFP, I'm in favor of a federal South Africa. And this ANC one says, no, 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 no. We don't like this federation business. I'm in favor of a unitary South Africa. They disagree, and then they draw guns on each other and shoot. No such thing. Organized gangs, political, were responsible for this violence.
The massacre of 11 people in a house in Trustfeed in the Natal Midlands in December 1988 was an example of the police abusing the tension between the IFP and the UDF for their own political ends. A night vigil was being held when gunmen attacked the house in the early morning hours. It turned out that the attackers were policemen and Inkatha members who wanted to kill UDF supporters, but they attacked the wrong house.
It was just, I think, the driving force behind it, behind the motives of the security establishment, was to drive the opponents, the UDF, the stronger side, out of trust feed, so that it is left within the hands of, say, in this case, in Inkatha, that it becomes a no-go area, and they can, within themselves, exist.
So in that meeting, a plan was hatched, okay, to go and finally drive UDF out. But I must stress that they felt that my shop, my house, my family home were the nucleus, or were the base of the UDF. So that is where they planned to hit. If they hit us flat out, then their mission would be complete.
The whole operation went wrong, where the wrong people became victims.
Brian Mitchell received 11 death sentences for his role in the attack. It was commuted to life imprisonment in 1994. His amnesty application to the Truth Commission was successful. Just over a year after Trust Feed, KwaZulu-Natal experienced the single worst political atrocity in South Africa's history. In less than a week in March 1990, some 200 people were killed and 20,000 left homeless when Inkatha impis swept through the Edendale Valley, attacking what they said were UDF supporters. The attacks became known as the 7-Day War, and some observers called it an act of calculated political cleansing. The attackers' slogan was, "We want to plant sugarcane," referring to the clearing of the land before cane can be planted.
Please get a helicopter. I don't care how you do it, but please charter one. We have got to fly above the valleys, above the valley of death, to see what's happening. The cops say they are scared. At 1:15, we fly from Oribe Airport in a light plane. We are above 1,000 feet above the burning valley. We have just counted at 120 homes belching flames. The sky below us is blue with smoke. The smoke threatens our nostrils with carbon monoxide. It's really a gory sight which even Hollywood movies have never been able to capture. We see bodies lying on the ground.
They say there's another one in the house.
The beginning of UDF territory, or Amakabane territory, from here down into the valley. And this is where the first attacks took place on the 28th of March 1990. This is Gezbuso, and you see on the hill opposite, many of the houses that were destroyed are no more. Further across to the left, you can't see too well from here, is Kwashange. There were big attacks there also the same morning.
We are divided by the river, Umsunduzi River, down there at the valley. That is Kwashange and this is Kwamnyandu. So when I looked there across, I saw that there were many houses burning, sound of gunshots and all that, and there were trucks moving up there with some people in the trucks with carrying weapons. When I went out the gate, I saw people there were running all over that hill now. Our people here were running away. Now there were gunshots, people were coming all over now, shooting, sound of guns all over.
Then after that, they came. Others came that side, ran and trying to come this side. Others were coming this side, and others were coming that side. Also that side, near the school. The police came at about 11 a.m. and they watch and watch. After that, they get back in their cars and went away. The fight continued again.
This is South African police footage shot from a helicopter which shows David Ntombela's car driving over the bridge, over the flooded Umsunduzi River, as the Amabutu began to attack the rural community of Kwashange in Vulindlela. It's significant that the police had full awareness of this event taking place, as is witnessed by this footage, which shows the person who has been named as a major perpetrator in these events.
The Truth Commission found that the IFP was responsible for the killings. the Truth Commission determined that David Ntombela ordered the attacks and found that the police assisted the attackers and never instituted a proper investigation into the 7-day war. The bloody conflict between the UDF, ANC and the IFP spread to the large townships east and south of Johannesburg in the early 1990s. At the heart of the conflict were the township hostels mostly inhabited by Zulu-speaking migrant workers who supported the IFP, and the UDF and ANC's paramilitary self-defense units.
We heard that they are coming to our hostel.
So where are you going now?
No, we want to meet them.
What are you going to do when you meet them?
You know. We are here to kill Inkatha.
We don't want those pagans here. They are barbarians and pagans.
They were in the middle of Khumalo Street. A group of men accosted them. They were Inkatha men. They stopped them and they took out guns and they said they should drive into the hostel.
They were not alone. They were with some other people from another section at Vusumuzi. It was an Inkatha section.
And we kept on going up and down looking for my husband, and a month lapsed without us getting my husband back or the body. Up till today, I don't know what has happened to my husband. I put the light on, trying to see as to which part of me was bleeding. I switched on the light, and I kept on switching on the light on and off without seeing anything. That's when I realized that I had turned blind. I was chopped. And my arm was cut. Yeah, my hand was cut. And I had no arm after that. The doctor asked me where was the other piece of my arm. I told him, I don't know. That's when I discovered that my husband had died because my father-in-law came also and sat right next to me. And he said to me, we've been defeated by life.
I've decided to come here, Your Grace, members of the Commission, because we cannot in all conscience remain silent when no effort is made by this Commission to question who has